Have you ever noticed how some people seem to lose authority the moment they try to be collaborative? They soften their tone, they add too many qualifiers, they invite input, but accidentally give away control. And suddenly the conversation feels different, less structured, less focused, less respectful. Authority didn't disappear because they were wrong. Authority disappeared because they lost control of the frame. Today we're talking about the intentional handover, how to pass control without losing authority, and how to reclaim control without triggering resistance. Because in high stakes communication, control is rarely taken, it's usually given away. There's a quiet misunderstanding in professional communication. People assume authority means dominating the conversation. It doesn't. Real authority is the ability to decide when control should move and when it should not. Strong communicators do not cling to control. They direct its movement. They know when to hold the frame, share the frame, temporarily release the frame, or calmly take the frame back without creating tension, without appearing insecure, without over-explaining why, because authority is not loud. Authority is structured. Where most professionals lose authority is during transitions, moments like, any thoughts? What do you think? Does that make sense? I'm open to feedback. These phrases sound collaborative, but often they signal uncertainty, not because collaboration is weak, but because the structure disappears. When structure disappears, people instinctively test boundaries. Meetings drift, conversations fragment, stronger personalities take over, and suddenly the person who initiated the conversation is no longer leading it. Not because they lacked expertise, but because they unintentionally surrendered the frame. An intentional handover does not abandon authority. It defines the terms of participation. For example, instead of, what do you think? Try something more like this. I'd like your perspective on one specific point. Notice the difference? Control was not lost. Control was directed. Or instead of saying, does anyone have input? Try, let's pressure test this assumption. You're inviting contribution while maintaining leadership over the structure of the conversation. Authority is preserved because direction remains clear. People feel safer when conversational structure exists. Even highly independent thinkers prefer clarity. Ambiguity creates quiet competition for influence. Structure eliminates that competition. When you intentionally hand over control, you are communicating, I am confident enough to invite perspective and confident enough to guide where that perspective goes. That combination signals leadership, not dominance, but leadership. Now let's talk about the other side. What happens when control drifts too far? When conversations become circular, when someone dominates the discussion, when the meeting starts moving away from the original objective, weak communicators interrupt emotionally. Strong communicators redirect structurally. For example, I want to bring us back to the decision point, or that's a useful angle, let's connect it to the original objective. Or even, let's pause here and clarify the priority. No defensiveness, no apology, just structure returning to the conversation. Authority is not asserted, it is reestablished. Here's the paradox. The people most comfortable handing over control are usually the ones least likely to lose it, because they understand something subtle. Authority is not about speaking more. Authority is about defining direction. You do not need to dominate the conversation when you can guide where the conversation goes. Try this simple framework. When handing over control, define three things: the focus, the scope, the objective. Here's an example. I'd like your perspective on the implementation risk, specifically timeline impact. Now, the conversation has boundaries, and boundaries create clarity. When reclaiming control, reference three things: the objective, the priority, and the decision point. Here's an example. Let's reconnect this to the outcome we need. No tension, no power struggle, just structure returning. In exclusive environments, or in executive environments specifically, authority is rarely challenged directly. It's tested indirectly through interruptions, through topic drift, through subtle reframing attempts. If you react emotionally, authority weakens. If you respond structurally, authority strengthens. Because structure communicates confidence, and confidence creates permission to lead. The goal is not to control every conversation. The goal is to control where the conversations go. Sometimes leadership means speaking. Sometimes leadership means inviting others to speak. But authority is never lost when direction remains intentional. The next time you ask for input, consider whether you're handing over control or directing where control moves. Because the strongest communicators do not fear losing authority. They understand how authority travels, and more importantly, they decide where it lands. If you found this useful, you may also want to listen to the episode on status signals, how presence reinforces or undermines authority before you even speak. Until next time, speak with intent.